I hope. We'll see.
All right, so I think we're back on. We had a phone issue, so all right, and
No, I didn't. I think I hit the turn off button.
all right, just a second here.
Are we good now?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
Okay, we're back. Got should we make a weird back comment on there? Can you still be on there at the same time?
Let's see. We
Maybe not under that one. Tim's with us. Diane's with us.
Okay.
Who else is with us?
All right. So sorry about that technical glitch. Apparently
Here's Kim.
my phone died even though it was plugged in.
So we had to reuse a real phone.
That's crazy. Apparently Apple's not up to live feeds. So we were talking about
Take that up there.
hormonal steel. No, it's okay.
Okay.
So so general anxiety is sort of hyperglycemia, B vitamins, magnesium. So that's an easy start for a lot of people. Is either eating those things long term, so that's the sustainable part, and the short term is even trying some B complexes. Like there's a good Country Life coenzyme B complex, where those are reduced B vitamins, and if people are basically exhausting those metabolic pathways, they can actually use those B vitamins to kind of help cope. Why they, it'll make them feel good, even if they're just horribly anxious. It'll usually make them feel good while they're making the sustainable changes that are going to keep them good and really break that cycle of anxiety and depression for them.
So that's just one part.
Right, yeah. That's
B
just
vitamins are just one part.
right. So a lot of times, if your battery's dead in your car, you might get a jump, but it's probably not the real fix, right?
Right.
It might get you a little further, but you really got to figure out what's going on.
I do think it's important to think that way, and in my mind that means holistically, because so many people, and I know it's out of desperation, want a quick fix, and like you said, that is a quick fix, but to a degree, but it's not long term. So
Yeah.
thinking about that as one part of the whole is important.
And one of the questions we get a lot is to medicate or not medicate. And that's kind of a tough question because it just depends on what your paradigm is. So there's a lot of people that just want a pill, and that's great for them. Now, statistically, or actually current studies show that the medication that we tend to use for that, like SSRIs, we've never been shown to have SSRI deficiencies. And so the drugs actually block the reabsorption of serotonin, tricks the brain into thinking it's making enough serotonin, but the long-term effect of that is you make less serotonin. So hormones and neurotransmitters all function on a pathway called negative feedback. There's only two processes in the body that are positive feedback, which is, hey, you're doing a great job, let's stop, and that's pregnancy, or I guess birthing, and bleeding for clotting, right? So there should be a start and a stop process with both those. Everything else is this kind of process that's like a figure eight. It's too much, too little, too much, too little, too much, too little. So if you add in neurotransmitters or a drug that tricks your body to think it has more neurotransmitters, or you give it bioidentical hormones or synthetic hormones, the natural production is going to decrease endogenously, and you're going to usually end up worse, which is if you watch the most recent commercials, they cite that same research, which is 70 to 80% of those taking antidepressants will end up more depressed than they were. And that's because of that downregulation part. So that doesn't, now the commercial then says you can take an antipsychotic. So that's awesome. So that's what?
Do you think it follows that same path like we were talking about with digestion, that you start with one medication, then you need to go to another, then maybe add another, then maybe change to this one, then maybe add another.
Yeah.
And then...
And when I did my psych rounds at a hospital called Prairie View, and I did it as an inpatient. No, I'm just kidding. my own research. No, but I was when I
saw you there.
when I was a medical student, I did my psych rounds, and you know, at the end of it, I talked to the head guy in charge, and he asked me how I liked my rounds, and I told him, I said, it just feels like guesswork. It feels like we're just trying this one and this one, and how's that go? Well, let's try this one, this one, this one. How's that work? And half the time it'll work, half the time it doesn't. Sometimes it'll get worse, sometimes it'll get better. I said, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. It's the only part of medicine that typically you don't have a very straightforward process with. And in response, he said, you're exactly right. It's a constant gamble. We have no idea what we're doing. And for board-certified neurologists and a psychiatrist to say that, well, okay, that was quite affirming to why I was so confused in practice in how we treated patients.
Well, isn't it true, too, that even in the studies we don't understand why it does, exactly why it does make people feel better or worse?
Well, exactly, and there's some of that's the placebo effect, which, hey, you know, if it's a placebo pill and I got a placebo effect, I would pay for that every day of the week. Unfortunately, we use medications that have some pretty severe side effects and nutrient depletions, which then make things worse for a lot of people.
Well, would you say that it could be, because there are a lot of people on medication. I mean, would you say that, you know, if you're not functioning and you need help, it's not that it's a bad thing that you've started taking medication?
Right. I have no judgment. I have no dog in that kind of fight. It really has to be up to that patient what they want to do. And so I don't criticize anybody that wants to take a medication or prescribe a medication. But for people that want to do a different paradigm, especially those who have gone that pathway and it didn't work, then I'm your guy. Then it's okay, well, let's figure out really what's going on and actually address the mechanism. There are going to be patients that, hey, I don't want to make any changes. Just give me a pill and let me move on with my life. And then there's going to be people that are just fed up and tired and say, I don't want this. I don't want my kids to be like this. I don't want my family to be like this. I want to have something different. I don't want to continue this legacy of depression. And there was actually studies that show that if moms take antidepressants during pregnancy, it dramatically affects the brain of the child. And there's a huge problem with that because they don't test any of those drugs on pregnancy. There's a new push to actually maybe start testing psych meds on pregnant women and seeing what it does to the children. But for the most part, they say don't take them. But they're still depressed, so what are they going to do? So this is like the perfect solution for anybody that is like pregnant, wants to feel a hell of a lot better, and not worry about what the heck am I doing to my fetus. So the people that do it, great. As long as it works for them and it's their choice, that's great. But to only have one option and not the other is ludicrous to me. Absolutely ludicrous. And it completely negates human physiology, epigenetics, genomics, all this stuff that we have known. And the messed up thing is, while we know this stuff works in research, right, there's very few practitioners that are clinically doing this. And so it takes 17 years, at least, to go from what works in research and we know clinically works to actually having practitioners suggest that to patients. And so all I do in my practice is I say, what does research show? What is true? And let's just do that. Let's just jump those 17 years. Or one cicada's life.
Cicada?
Cicada?
Yeah, we think it's pronounced cicada.
Cicada. I call it circada, but I'm from Texas. We say y'all.
I was saying cicada.
Cicada. That's cicada.
It's
Al-Qaeda.
If you don't know, it's locusts.
Locusts,
right?
yeah.
Let's just say locusts.
Locusts, all right. Yeah,
They're
we could
born-
just say locusts.
How about we say locusts?
Locusts.
Okay.
So locusts take 16 years to 17 years before they emerge from the earth, and then they go and mate, and then they go back underground for some reason. But that's about, so basically by the time the cicada has a baby to the 16 years later when it emerges, that's when you can expect clinical research to be used by your primary doc.
Why not skip those years?
Yeah.
And come talk to somebody who has another alternative.
So we'll call it the locust skip protocol.
Or cicada cicada.
Yeah.
Whatever you prefer.
So the last part of our talk tonight, to kind of sum things up, and then we'll talk about some questions here, is okay. So we have this lifestyle that we created in the U.S. that creates and guarantees that we have anxiety, and then we pass it on to our children because we teach them to eat and drink and do and stress the way that we do. But what about breaking that cycle? So one of the simple things that I love is to say, what do the healthiest, happiest populations on Earth do?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's not Belgium that's the happiest. It's Denmark.
Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I posted it. I know this because when that research came out, it said Denmark's the happiest country in the world. I posted that on Facebook, and what I expected was people to say, "Hey, what the hell are they doing? Why don't I do that?" Right? And instead, I got the American response, which is, "If you don't like this country, you can get the hell out." And that was like all my feed right there.
It's the ego response.
Yeah.
We don't want to learn anything new. We
Right.
just want to be better than everybody else.
That's right. So we're number one in obesity, depression, anxiety, childhood poverty, infant mortality rates.
It's okay to make mistakes, America.
How about we just be number one in happiness, right? Break that cycle of anxiety.
Well,
and
and
depression.
it's not only Denmark you've been studying. You've been studying other places where there are centenarians as well.
Right. So the longest, healthiest living population.
Centenarians are 100-year-old people.
Yeah.
If you don't know that.
And they're happy still, right? I mean, we have like...
They're still kicking it.
Yeah. Kicking old school. Way old school.
Way old school.
They probably have Jesus in their yearbook. That's how old they are. And I only strive to live as long as you do, so
Right.
the joke's on me.
So why not learn something from these places?
Yeah.
We can't know it all, and that's okay.
So there's 9 things that all the healthiest, longest living populations have in common. And those 9 basic things are the very minimum that we want to do in life, right? So one of them is what Holly does and teaches, which is yoga. They all do meditation, yoga.
Mind-body practices.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
Tai Chi, meditation, yoga, which we offer all of those here at Affiliated Family Counselors if you're interested.
Yeah.
It's another plug.
And we have great teachers for it, and it really makes a huge impact, and especially with kids too. So that ability to not only just amp up all the time like we are, just constantly thriving off stress, but what the hell are we doing to bring that stress back down before we have the heart attack or the panic attack, right? And so it's not that other countries don't have anxiety and depression, it's that they have constant mechanisms to de-stress or to bring down that anxiety so that they can cope and live a happy life. And so again, it's not stress-free that we're looking for. It is sustainable resiliency. And so that's that mindfulness. And there's a couple really good books I like. Fully Present, which is a new book out about being mindful. And then the other one is Altruism, and it's written by a Buddhist monk, Matthew something with an R, Review or something. But you know who that is?
No, but I have a couple more to recommend.
More books?
Thich Nhat Hanh. I will not spell it for you. It's difficult to spell. But go to Barnes & Noble and look in the, not comparative religion, look in the religion section. Someone can help you. Thich Nhat Hanh has a bunch of very simple practices for starting, learning meditation. Also, Pema Chodron is really great too. Pick a simple, tiny, little thin book. Start somewhere.
Do I have to change my religion for that?
You have to completely change your religion and start playing with snakes.
And kill chickens.
Chickens, that's on a whole other level, but we start with snakes.
Snakes. She's kidding though, right?
No, I'm not.
There's nothing
Yes,
de-stressing about
yes,
snakes.
I'm kidding. You don't. It's just a practice of focusing. That's all it is. So
So-
mind-body practices.
So any faith, you can do mindfulness. You can do meditation. You can do yoga. You can do whatever you want. Call it stretching for Jesus, right? It doesn't matter. But you have to have some way that you downregulate. And watching TV for distraction, not one.
It's just distraction.
Eating for stress screws up your hormones even worse.
Stressing a candy bar.
And anxiety, wheat and dairy have
Evil.
evil. morphine. And morphine and the casomorphine, glutenomorphine, they might make you feel better short term, but they are short-term coping mechanisms which food never sustains for those type of foods, right? So people may use ice cream as a drug or bread as a drug, but it's only, again, it's like distraction. It's not helping anything. It's actually causing things to be worse.
Right. Don't get me wrong. We get that it's delicious, people. We get it.
Pizza.
We feel ya.
Yes. But it is just drugs. So when you say, well, I'm feeling stressed, I'm going to have some ice cream, think I'm having crack cocaine. Same exact effect
high
on your brain.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why you got to freebase your bread, right? So mindfulness is a huge one. Down-regulating stress. Purposeful movement. Now in the U.S., what we do is we find every possibility not to move. And then we get tired and fat and weak and osteoporotic, and then we say, we got to do something. So then we pay a gym, and we drive to the gym, and then we walk on a treadmill. So we pay to drive to a gym and walk on a treadmill, right? So you're paying money to drive to a gym so you can walk on a treadmill. You see that? I need to own a gym. Because this is great. That's insane.
There is, okay, I will say this. It is easier to take a walk out your front door, and I do that all the time, especially when I'm really busy and I don't have any time. Walk out the front door and go walk for 20 minutes. But I'm gonna support the gym rats. There is something motivating about getting into a different environment.
All right, right tribe.
Okay.
Right tribe. All right.
Surrounding yourself with right tribe.
I'm corrected. That is only for the loners that go and all by themselves. But otherwise, there is also what's called right tribe. And right tribe is being with people that are like-minded in a positive way. So if you go to the gym, like if you're not a gym person, you go to the gym, you start making gym friends, and then you're more likely to hang out at the gym. Unless you're Jim Gaffigan. And you're
That's a different kind of gym.
Yeah. So that's good, right tribe. So what right tribe is actually one of those 9 things too, which is surround yourself with people that are positive and happy. And a lot of times we end up being the only person that's the healthiest and happiest in our group, and they drag us down. How long you gotta eat like that? Why can't you have what we're having? Right? What kind of friends are these?
Rude.
Terrible friends.
Rude.
So right tribe is wonderful. Families first, right? Most societies around the world, they actually have grandparents living with them or their parents living with them. And what that means is it's not setting grandpa off in the basement, forgetting about him. It's making sure that grandma and grandpa have an invested activity within or jobs within the family.
Purpose.
Right, constant purpose too. See, we just keep going to the next thing. So purpose, right? Purposeful. Having a sense of purpose. Purpose is really important. There's a lot of patients that we have that when they retire, they have nothing. They didn't have any hobbies. They don't have anything else. They only had their job, and all of a sudden they got nothing. And they will go nuts. And in fact, men in America will tend to die 5 years after they retire if they don't have a strong hobby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or their wives will murder them. Make it look like an accident. Yeah, so I mean that's the thing is you have to have something greater than work, and that's also those things that help downregulate your hormones. Like if you do gardening or if you do woodworking, if you tie flies for fishing, those meticulous, mindful things actually serve multiple purposes within creating a sustainable life.
Yeah.
So how do we tie that into something else?
To which part?
I don't know.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm sure there's a person or two out there who's like, yeah, I've heard it all. I've heard this. And maybe you've already got some of those things in your life. Maybe you already have family, or you already feel like you have a purpose. But maybe there's some other things that you could add too, like starting on the nutrition piece, or avoiding the distraction, just that mental distraction of television, which is only just buying you time. It's not healing anything. It's just taking up time until you have to face life again.
Right.
So, so then out of those 9 things, there's something that we all can do and start on to help.
And eat one of the things as far as eating really healthy, right? So eating real actual food, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, berries, legumes, greens. So again, not complicated. Keep it very simple. There's no baboon trying to figure out how to, deal with depression. There's no sharks dealing with anxiety.
Right.
In nature,
There's no elephants counting calories.
That's right.
Right.
So, there's an 80% rule that most countries do, which is eat till you're not hungry, not eat till you're full. There's actually about a 20-minute delay between the neurotransmitters in your stomach that sense being full in your brain. And so what that means is you typically overeat for the last 20 minutes. And so you should only really eat the amount of food that it'll take to not be hungry. And for Americans, we like a deal. And eating a plate, like your plate should be as big as your hand, right? And even if it's healthy food, it's still, you don't need all that much. So one plate you can fit 5 handfuls of food on, and that gives you 3 or 4 sides and then 1 entree.
I think on that too, on the overeating, I mean, I know for myself, a big part of overeating is feeding emotion. And so asking yourself, why am I overeating? And if you take it away from yourself and then you feel that sense of struggle and that tension, you're going to know, okay, because I'm upset right now. I really want my Dairy Queen. And so then you're going to know probably I'm eating for the wrong reasons. I'm not eating because I'm hungry. I'm just eating because I'm craving it for some reason. Then you can start addressing, coming back and addressing that problem rather than the ice cream problem. Maybe it's I'm anxious, or I'm tired, or I'm stressed, or whatever, and then start addressing those.
Right. Yeah, and very quickly, patients typically, if they follow the protocol, they just don't get kind of overstressed like they used to. They don't need the coffee. They don't need the food therapy anymore. A lot of times they're like, well, what can I do for cravings? But really, after a couple weeks, they don't even have the cravings anymore because they don't have that kind of hollow part that they're trying to fill, or that downregulation of hormones trying to figure out how to fill that. They just feel normal, and then they can function normal. They can have control. The last 2 things of those 9 things are a plant slant, so eating mostly plants, and really, you can eat meat, don't eat meat, I don't care, but just know that everywhere meat takes up on your plate, you literally get less nutrition. You get less B vitamins, less magnesium, and you get less hormones and neurotransmitters that make you feel awesome. And so that's a big issue with Americans because we are very meat driven, which we don't have to be. 1 little serving of meat, 3 ounces, is 90% of your daily protein. If you have 1 handful of nuts and 1 handful of seeds, that's 120% of your daily protein. 2 eggs is half your daily protein. It is impossible to be protein deficient, especially even a plant diet, because that's what a cow eats, is a plant diet. And it builds 1,200 pounds of muscle. A horse, a farmer that is depending on that horse for his livelihood, does not feed it whey protein shakes and 12 eggs. It tells it to go eat grass for the rest of the day. Eat salad. So if your livelihood depended on this beast, you still just feed it a vegetarian diet. And that's what rebuilds animal muscles. And guess what? We're actually animals. Yeah. So I thought I was a fish or a dolphin for a while. But, a dolphin's a mammal. See how to do it. All right. So then the last thing, which is the awesome thing, is two things. Is that they every healthy country that's the healthiest, happiest, longest living, either drink red wine or green tea or both. And when it comes to happiness, there's actually what's called genistein. That's not right. There's theanine. Theanine and a little bit of caffeine, 25 milligrams, less than chocolate, that's in green tea, right? That amount actually makes you smarter and more alert. And when we talk about genetics, literally, green tea reverses genetic mutations. It normalizes your DNA. So even if you think it's a genetic thing, you think it's a soft genetic or a hard genetic encoding problem, that I can't think straight, great, drink green tea anyways, right? It's still the same. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, berries, legumes, greens, green tea.
And it's all over the place. You can buy that anywhere.
Yeah.
I like it hot. Does it matter if it's hot or cold?
Well, so there you go. That's a good question. So one of the reasons you want to drink it hot is because hot green tea slows you down. It's about 170 degrees, and you can't gulp it. So then that forces you to sit and look around, and your stress goes down. So green tea is not only beneficial from the drink, but for what it does to your lifestyle, which is slow it down.
Okay.
And the same thing for red wine. Not white wine, which is just a Kool-Aid. Not Moscato, which is Kool-Aid, right? Adult Kool-Aid. But red wine. And red wine, again, is another thing that you can't really gulp unless you have some serious problems. And that might be the depression talking right there.
Right, because too much wine is going to start, well, too much alcohol will start down-regulating the dopamine, right?
Well, yeah, so not so much when it's red wine.
Okay.
Because red wine, even the Sardinians, they drink like half a carafe of red wine. But a part of the difference of what we do with wine in other countries is you drink wine with others. There was actually a new thing out today I saw that said that I think it's, and I might be wrong on these numbers, but the generality is okay. So like 80% of food eaten in other countries is eaten with other people. It's very social. Mm-hmm. It's slower. But something like 80 to 90% of all the food eaten in America is eaten by yourself.
In your car.
In your car. Parking behind the building so you can eat that shameful food.
Or in the closet.
Yeah. And men, if you want to know what's really going on, check under your husband's seats in the car, because a lot of husbands even double eat. So they'll eat whatever they want emotionally on the way home, stuff that bag under the seat, and then go home and eat dinner with the family. And then the wife's like, "Wow, you're not eating very much. I don't understand why you're gaining weight."
See, that brings up another part too. Everybody's so busy, and I'm not sure in your 9 that there is a slowing down. You've talked about slowing down,
right?
But everybody's so busy and on the run,
but we choose it.
So it is part of figuring out how to slow it down, how to let go of production.
Because I'll tell you, I have so many patients that are on that breaking point with anxiety and depression that's starting out, right? And they're like, "Well, I cannot give up anything. I just can't. I can't." But I'm like, if you keep this up, you're going to shut down completely, and all those things are going to stop. Well, I just can't. And eventually they get horribly sick, or they have a breakdown, or they have panic attacks, and suddenly they cannot sustain that. We are literally just trying to sustain lifestyles that are unsustainable.
Yes.
And then we take medications or we eat food to mask those symptoms of that unsustainable lifestyle. Just like turning your radio up in the car when it makes that weird grinding sound. Eventually it's going to break.
Yeah.
Eventually break. So, before Facebook, we all had busy lives. Before cell phones, we had busy lives. There was not a time where we were just like, we have plenty of extra time. And we just force more stuff into there, which is unnecessary. If you don't know what happens this season on NCIS, who gives a crap? If you don't know anybody on Facebook, except for the live feeds. Who gives a crap, I mean, there's never been a discussion on Facebook that actually mattered, really, except for maybe some nutritional advice. But all the other kind of just bullcrap that goes on, it's not like worthy information.
And that eats up a ton of time.
Yeah.
And people think of it as stress relief, but I think once again it's just distraction.
It's just distraction, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I used to play video games, Grand Theft Auto, which I'm a very good driver on Grand Theft Auto, which I think translates in life. But
is that true, Mel?
But I'd play that as a kind of a distraction between patients sometimes, or or at night, just after the kids go to bed, I just kind of like free my mind. And I really felt like that was relieving me. And I noticed when I play that game, I hold my breath, and I'm tense. And so even though I feel like it's a relaxing thing, it's not relaxing, not at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, we got to figure out how to manage our emotions.
Yeah.
I just really think that's just such a big key.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, you can either do it now or you can break down, have a heart attack, have a panic attack, and do it later. But it's way better to do it now. It's way better to start figuring out these things now. And it's process over perfection, right? So next week, we'll talk about the genomic protocol, right? And we'll get a little bit more in depth here. So think of a tree, and we're doing the low-hanging fruit today, and then we're going to do more complicated as we go. And then at the end, we'll talk about case studies and success rates with that.
Yeah. So if you had burning questions about genes tonight, stick with us.
Yeah. And with our genetic protocol, just to kind of give you a heads up, we have 3-month, 6-month, and 9-month program, and so it's all encompassing lifestyle kind of management. But we test the genetics, we test the food sensitivities, we do psych testing, we do functional medicine, epigenetic reports, nutritional deficiencies, drug interactions. We try to figure out every little stone that we can unturn to guarantee the best outcome for those patients. And we do it in such a way that it's really complementary and integrated approach. So that way even the toughest possible cases, people who have never gotten better, can get better. And we've seen patients that, one of the ones I loved, she had been on antidepressants since she was 16, tried to go off, got worse every single time. And all we did was start changing those genomics, changing that diet, changing that lifestyle. And then she was able to go off her medication and felt fabulous. And even years later, she's still fabulous. And so, that's what you want. You want to be able to live anywhere, do anything, and feel great.
Right.
So, takeaway message for this week? What do you got?
You caught me off guard. Let me, takeaway message overall is, I think my thoughts on this talk tonight is start somewhere. If you haven't started anywhere, start somewhere and make that doable. If you set a goal for yourself, make it attainable. No matter how dinky you think that goal is, start with that. If it's 1 minute of meditation once a week, start with that. If it's one walk once a week for 10 minutes, start with that. If it's, I'm going to cut out soda this week, start with that. That would be my thought as far as just...
So what if they mess up once?
If you mess up, you should probably just quit.
Quit, you're done.
Yeah, you should probably just lower your expectations. Yeah, it's over. Sorry, no, don't. It is about progress, not perfection. I say that all the time in my yoga classes.
That's my saying.
There aren't. No, you stole that from me. You totally stole that from me. He said it earlier, but he actually said process, folks. All right. So, it's work at 80%. I even say that in my classes too. Work at 80%. There are no mistakes, really. And just keep trying. Stay hopeful and keep trying. Each time you fall down, try again, try again, try again. And it's the 1 step forward, 2 steps back thing.
Yeah. And my takeaway is kind of the same thing. It's very difficult to have anxiety. It's very difficult to have depression. It's very difficult to have hope in anything. Because most people have tried gimmicks and quick fixes that really never panned out. And a lot of them actually made it worse. So just kind of have that hope and just think about a paradigm shift. Just think, what if I'm causing this whether I know it or not? What if I could make some small lifestyle changes and I could feel better? What if I could make some major changes and just feel fabulous and not have to worry about how this affects my family, my kids, and my community, and how I interact with others? Just think of that paradigm shift of what if, and really have hope. on the last, Tuesday of this month, I mean, that's one of the things that we'll talk about is all those case studies. But the crazy thing is there's hundreds of case studies that we could go over. And literally, this morning, we're doing research with KU Medical School, trying to set up clinical trials, get funding for this type of therapy, for doing genomic approaches and nutritional lifestyle changes to actually affect greater outcome, which is called genomic psychiatry. And no one in the country is really doing this, but they should. It will literally change how we address this issue in the future. And it's while this is being used in other fields as far as cancer and heart disease and those, for anxiety and depression, that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And we don't want to wait 17 years for it to trickle down, So I hope to see you guys next week. I'll go through some of the questions that we didn't get a chance to answer.
Yeah, I think I had a couple too.
Yeah. Did you have any of that? Oh, for me?
No, I think I had a couple. I think I had a kombucha question and a yoga question or two, so I'll try to address those as well.
Yeah. And I'll try to, I might have a couple slides I can put on there also. The slides for this, remember, they're at that slideshare.net/Patrick Garrett 7. And I put that link in the first half of this video in the feed part. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Because we get people better, we're always looking for new patients to get better. We just need people to stop getting better so fast. And I think that would be better off. But
stay sick, the motto of the pharmaceutical industries.
That's right. We should do a therapy that's really slow and drawn out.
I'm kidding.
But if you want to talk about this therapy or if this is right for you or your family, we always have free consults, and that's basically $80 to $200 value to figure out what's the likelihood this might help you. And my number for the office is 316-636-2888 for anybody that wants to make an appointment or do a consult. And then watch for our other videos. And in fact, the other ones are on Facebook, my Facebook that you're watching this on, under videos. And so there's I think we've done like 6 or 7 videos.
Yeah, if you've got questions about digestion, check out July's videos for sure. Yeah.
And after this one for anxiety and depression, we'll do genomic approaches to gut stuff too. So we'll actually talk about some of that kind of higher hanging fruit as far as how to fix that. And then otherwise, please share this. There's too many people suffering that need even just like a hope, a little sliver of hope, So please share it, please like it. I look forward to talking to you guys in the future, and please let us know questions, more topics that you want to hear about, and we'll try to address those. All right?
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks you guys. You did it? You did it? Yeah? Me? You? Me?
You.
All right.
What do we do?
I don't know.
How do we end?
No, hit finish.